Hello again, everyone. We left off at talking about the social needs that team members have, and today we're going to devote time to talking about ego needs. And I got to tell you, I guess I didn't realize the stigma associated with the word ego. It was only a matter of a week or so ago that somebody in a classroom environment in the leadership development program really challenged me about how she hated the word ego. And I thought about that long and hard, and I understand that. But as we talk about ego today and in the context of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, ego really has kind of a clinical definition. Ego is really nothing more than self-worth and self-esteem, and that definition, as a classical definition, was kind of pioneered by Freud and some of his contemporaries. And bottom line is, everyone needs to operate in a healthy manner. Everybody needs to have some ego. Now, when ego moves farther and becomes bigger and broader and tends to dominate an individual's personality, those are much, much different issues. But for what we're talking about now, if you want to do some synonyms to make this more palatable, rather than ego, think about self-esteem and think about self-worth and those kind of concepts. Now, tried and true organizations have spent a lot of time over the years trying to hit on this ego need. And just as a recap, as a reminder, we're not going to be able to do anything about ego needs unless the other levels of Maslow's hierarchy are met and satisfied in an individual team member. So again, the physiological needs, safety and security needs, social needs all have to be met before we even worry anything about ego needs or self-worth needs. Now, the tried and true strategy that a lot of organizations have used for decades and decades, that recognition piece, providing, the employee of the month or, whatever it is, to, try to help that motivating factor on Maslow's pyramid. Now, the reality of it is, because that's so used and in many, many cases overused, not connected to anything meaningful or valuable, not, in team members' minds, it really, in many cases, isn't a fair process, it's a rotating process. There really isn't a lot of value associated with that type of program. Now, if you were to recognize someone based on achievements that has some immediacy to it, that also has organizational value, that you can directly connect to a behavior or a piece of performance that a team member has, that's outstanding. That is a solid piece of recognition. When you can further tie that with a little bit of a reward that then has some other value to a team member, that too becomes outstanding. However, with all that said, the best strategy for meeting ego needs has nothing to do with typical recognition. It has everything to do with the application, the correct application of positive feedback. And not only is that a leadership phenomenon, but is it also a thing that a team has to embrace to provide themselves on many occasions. So from the leadership perspective, that means that as a leader, one of my primary roles is to tell my people, good job, nicely done. Connecting that to a specific event, doing it with the right degree of enthusiasm, doing it in immediacy. As a leader, that's how I'm going to hit that ego-based need that Maslow identified near the top of the pyramid. I also, as a leader, have an obligation to create an environment and encourage other team members to provide that feedback to each other. If you think about the analogy of a football team, when somebody scores a touchdown, the first high five is not from the coach. In fact, the first high five is from other team members. And we know that truth to be obvious in all kinds of big-time athletics and professional sports, but yet we don't often bring that particular thing to work. I would highly encourage you to think about ways that you can encourage your team to share positive feedback, and then the leader gets the luxury of becoming the second source. I'm not taking the leader out of the equation, but becomes the second source of that positive feedback. Ego needs sit on the top of that pyramid for a particular reason. They're very, very important to people, and I want to point out one final little thing. A lot like social needs. If somebody isn't getting a lot of ego satisfaction in the other segments of their life, in their personal life, maybe they don't have a hobby, maybe they don't have a supportive family unit, maybe they don't have encouraging friends. So, man, I tell you what, they come to work seeking those kind of things. And when they have it and find it, they're going to be highly motivated, highly engaged, create work to achieve a healthy working environment. When they don't have that at work, when they don't get that in the workplace, they're going to be pretty disengaged and disaffected because they're really looking for their workplace to provide that. Next time we're together, we're going to talk about the final piece of Maslow's hierarchy, and that is something called self-actualization. We'll probably spend as much time talking about it and what that definition means as we will in terms of strategy, but I'm also going to give you guys a couple of strategies that you can engage and embrace pretty easily. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you again.